All right, everyone, welcome back to the podcast. Every once in a while, there's someone that shows up, whether in your life or social media in general, who just like completely breaks the pattern of like what you know, right? Someone so young, first and foremost, so sharp, so far ahead of schedule that they kind of force everyone else to rethink what's possible about life in general, right? My guest today, who I'm very, very thankful to have, isn't just a talented young salesman, a young closer. He's someone who's compressed like an entire decade, even decades of growth into just a couple of years, right? At 16, he wasn't just trying sales. He was already in high ticket environments that most people never even get the access to, right? At 17, he wasn't just taking calls. He was actually training teams and operating inside multi-million dollar ecosystems. And I'm not talking by the year, but by the month. And today, at just 18 years old, he's become one of the most compelling young minds. And honestly, this guy's hilarious with some of the content that he posts. And you've seen some of the videos about where he breaks down objections, the tonality, the control, the behind-the-scenes call footage, right? That's kind of what he's been going viral for. And you've hopefully seen Impact Team, the movement that he and his business partner Yash have been building. Right now, I think when I checked, it was 37,750 people, and it continues to grow.
I didn't even know that. I thought we were still at 35.
No, man, it's growing very fast. But what impresses me most about this guy right here is not just the skill, it's the speed, it's the clarity, it's the confidence that he has learned to move with. Right? Most people don't see someone like this until they're 25, 30, and beyond, right? So today, we'll go a little bit deeper into the story, the philosophy, okay, the psychology, and also like the future of someone who is basically redefining what success looks like at the age of 18, right? Again, Andres Contreras. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but
That was really good. That was actually really good.
Really good.
That was really good.
Andres Contreras, brother, I'm genuinely excited to have you here, man. How are you doing today? I know you talked about having a sore throat, man, but
Yeah,
what's going on?
I'm a big believer in it doesn't really matter how you feel, you got to do what you got to do. So I have a sore throat, I'm coughing, but I have 16 podcasts in the next 4 days. So we're going to make this one the best one of all of them. That is the goal.
God bless. Let's do that, man. All right, man. Let's go back a bit, right? Because it's shocking for people to see. Because most people are like, at 18, he's lying. He's a scammer, right? There's so many people that have seen your videos that I know. They're like, it's bullshit, bro. He's not paying this type of money, right? But I want to understand the real story, right? Like not just things that you know on Instagram for, right? Now, something that I've seen about people that succeed often, like at a very young age, their identity is forced to grow much faster than how young they are or what their age is, right? Childhood and becoming an adult, and then just like doing things that not even normal adults do, like all be compressed into one.
Yeah.
And like the stakes increase, the pressure goes up like crazy, and the world continues to expect more. And to be honest, you expect more from yourself.
Yeah.
At 16, what most people are trying to do is just get by in school,
Yeah.
right? So what was that like spark moment that said, no, I'm going a different path?
It's really interesting because from very, very young, I was always extremely competitive. And so the question obviously becomes, when you're that competitive, it's like, well, where do I direct it? Right? And so initially for me, it was soccer. That was like the first thing where I was like, I'm all in on this. This is my life.
nice.
I will figure this fucking out. And I ended up going semi-pro for a month after I was playing with my team and alone 4 or 5 hours every day on the pitch, doing drills, everything by myself. And I ended up going semi-pro, and then all of a sudden one day, I get injured. And so I break my ulna and my radius down the middle, twisted 180 degrees backward and bent to the side. It looked like a fucking wrench. And so I was like, okay, well, soccer clearly isn't the path I can really do right now. So I was like, well, what else can I do? And so that's when I kind of found business for the first time. That became my new vehicle of like where to put my competitiveness towards and just my obsession. That was like
First off, I'm very sorry to hear about that. There's so many stories about people that were so good at the craft, that were so good at any sport, and then just like the injury just changes their trajectory forever.
I mean,
But,
we're being
like,
real. I was playing semi-pro in America, so if I went to Europe, I probably would have gotten fucked. But I mean, it was a cool
fair
experience.
enough. Yeah. True that.
It was a good experience.
That's a good point. That's a good point. Yeah, and that is a phenomenal experience because most people that I know that were into sports at a young age as well, they're hyper competitive,
Absolutely.
and they know what competition actually feels like.
Yeah, absolutely.
But like, take me a bit deeper. Like, it's not as simple as just like, oh, I stopped playing soccer and I got into business. Like, what got you into business? What was the business?
So I'll talk a little bit about, I can tell the surface level stuff, but I'll go a little bit deeper. I think going to business and all that, obviously there's videos and stuff that I saw, but I think from a very fundamental perspective, if I'm not talking about how I originally like got into it for the first time, but what made me serious about it, it was I started to consider, and usually when people are born poor, I wasn't born poor, I was middle class, right? When people are born poor, either they turn into complete pussies, where they get this victim mentality of I'm not gonna do anything, my life is ruined, I can't do shit because I'm unfortunate and God fucking hates me. Or they become legends, savages, and they have the strongest work ethic, they have the highest level of dedication and commitment that you can have in a human being. That's why when you hear the come up stories of these billionaires or super successful people, it's usually not like, oh, I mean, life was okay. No, it's like I was hiding in a fucking forest, eating squirrels off a tree or some shit, and now I'm a billionaire. Like that's where it comes from, because it's this absolute pain that gives them the drive that forges them. And so from a very young, early age, I started to understand that if I don't have that pain and I'm not born with it in my surroundings, then I need to create it for myself.
Wow.
If I don't have the pain in my environment, then I need to make that pain for me. And I started to realize that, especially through the patterns that I saw in soccer. In soccer, when I was playing 5 hours a day, you have times where it's almost like a David Goggins. You have shin splints, you have tendons that are messed up, your IT band, like your ACL, everything. And you have to be like, great, I don't give a fuck, I'm gonna play anyways. And the first 30 minutes are complete pain. Sucks, terrible. And then obviously your ligaments, your bones, your muscles start warming up, and then obviously it's fine. But it's kind of that concept of creating pain for yourself, because that's what gives you the outcome. And so from a business perspective, that's what caused me to be like, great, I'm gonna drop out of high school, I'm gonna run away from home, move halfway across the country, all that stuff. It wasn't because, oh, I love this is amazing. No, it wasn't because of that. It was because I was forging pain and independence for myself. And that's when I went from like taking it kind of serious, like, yeah, I wanna do this, I'm competitive about it, to like, I am obsessed, this is me.
Wow. Yeah, because that is something that I wanted to talk to you about. First off, I've seen nobody at this young of an age think about like, I didn't have pain, therefore I should create pain. Pain usually leads to success if you're able to go through it. You know, but you're absolutely right. Yeah, most of those stories of like those self-made millionaires, billionaires, which are most of them, by the way, they have a painful story. You know, there's like a very small percentage that actually have like had, honey, I love you, you're gonna be so good. Like it's very rare, you know?
And even the ones who are, it's like, those are the people nobody cares to really hear about.
Mm-hmm. 1,000%.
I heard something, I forget from who, it was from a billionaire, but he was like, when I was making decisions, my question I always asked myself is, what is the most interesting thing I could do? It was Elon Musk, that's who it was. What's the most interesting thing I can do? Optimizing for how interesting something is. If you grow up middle class and your life is just normal and nothing happens, it's like, great, you could become a billionaire, nobody really gives a fuck. We're being real about it. But if you go through pain and you have a story and you do stuff and you forge yourself, people care.
Yeah. Hormozy also talks about it. He's like, when you have two paths in life that you can choose to take, choose the one that's gonna give you the better story to tell.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
you know?
Exactly.
Yeah. So that's kind of the thing. But yeah, I did see about you online that you dropped out and you ran away from home and you're building sales team, right? And it's easy for people to start like romanticizing that, right? Now, extreme beginnings always come with extreme emotions. However, you grew up in a middle class family, but you forced that like extremism on yourself. I sort of did the same thing, but what part of that story do most people misunderstand? Like the part that really wasn't fun.
I think the part that they misunderstand is that they think of me running away or me dropping out as the reason I succeeded, versus that's not the reason I succeeded. I had a certain mentality and a certain hunger and a certain drive that allowed me to succeed, and the me dropping out and running away was a byproduct of that mentality I had. Because a lot of people, then I'll see people who, and even because obviously with Impact Team, like our entire goal is to help people. We do all these calls for free and all this stuff. And sometimes people get on the call and they're like, dude, I'm thinking about dropping out and like running away. Like I'll get this question. They're like, I'm thinking about dropping out and running away. And I'm like, okay, what does your life look like? And they're like, oh, well, like I'm trying to practice the script and like learn a little. And I'm like, no, don't do it. Run. Do not fucking run away. Stay where you're at. And it's because they don't have the mentality yet. You have to have the mentality. And if that naturally creates the byproduct extremism, that's a great thing. But if the extremism is your way of trying to achieve success, that doesn't work.
I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying. Right, because when most people hear the stories, they're like, he had such a bad life, he had to drop out and run away from home. That's what made him the person he is today. That's what made him success. However, you all already had the hunger, you had a nice life, but you were just like, how do I make it more difficult so I can like forge myself and get through it, you know?
Exactly. And it's that mentality that made me drop out and do all other things, not the other way around.
Not the other way around. Right. That's a very good point. Like, do you maybe like remember like the exact moment that kind of happened, like a memory, somebody said something to you where you're like, I'm not gonna live that normal life anymore? I mean, you were always competitive, right? But still, there's always that like shift where like, I'm going.
So I think the biggest thing for me, it wasn't like one thing. It was kind of a stacking of multiple scenarios. Yeah. And the biggest reason why is because I think subconsciously, as a man, at a very deep, fundamental root level, we all have a competitiveness within us. We all have a desire for conquest. We want to win. We want to take shit over. We want to dominate. We want to have everything. We want to have it all. You want the best relationship. You want the best finances. You want to be in the best shape. Like every man wants all of that. And anybody who thinks otherwise is just an idiot. It's like if you're fat and I'm like, oh, you can be healthy, you can be in shape. No, I don't want to be. Well, then you're fucking retarded. Like there's nothing much I can say. You know what I mean? So I think fundamentally the issue that happens though, if you look at like psychology at a deep level, and this, a lot of it comes from Freudian psychology. So if you think about like a mask, the way that the mask works is in your childhood, when you're a baby doesn't go, oh, can I please have some food? I'm hungry. No, it starts whining. I want food, give me food. You start screaming until you get food. I want water, give me water. And you start, or milk. And you start screaming until you get milk. Like that's just how you are. Yeah. And so the issue though, and what happens is you get conditioned societally. So you start putting masks on top of you because all of a sudden one day, at the beginning when you're 1 or 6 months old, oh, it's kind of cute, he's whining. Now you're 2 and you're still whining and they're like, okay, shut the fuck up. And they slap you.
Right,
like,
right.
That's kind of how it goes. And you learn, I don't want to whine anymore because it doesn't go well for me. And so you stop whining. You learn, when I do that, it's bad.
Correct.
And so the correlation you start to create is this mask in your mind. And the mask is, I have this real version of me, and then I have this version of the mask that I have to portray to society in order to be accepted. Which isn't inherently a bad thing. The bad thing comes when you're in a bad society that conditions you in a very specific way, that limits a lot of those characteristics and aspects of you, such as the competitiveness. And so
agree with you. Yeah.
What happened with me though is because from a very young age, I always felt like I didn't really fit in, if you will. Like my parents sent me to this middle school that was a bunch of nerds essentially, like just face always in a book. Like literally, I was literally calculating the other day. I make more now than all of those people from my grade in that middle school combined, put together, versus me. Even though those are considered the smartest people of this generation.
Smart kids,
Middle school in the entire country.
Wow.
And so, because I felt like I didn't fit in, there's a pro and a con to that. And the con is you feel left out, you feel like, oh, underneath, whatever, like, oh, I'm inferior, etc. The pro is that you can't really create that mask on top of yourself to the same degree because you don't care what they say because you don't feel like you fit in. So what kind of mask can it really give you?
Yeah.
And so that allowed my competitiveness to kind of shine and like really stay there. Like it maintained because it wasn't really covered up to the same degree as everybody else. And so then me being able to have that competitiveness, then again, that's what pushes my drive into everything else. And it's very interesting because the interesting thing is you can actively choose to not allow what people say to create a mask in you. And the way you can choose that, and this is for anybody watching this, is number one, you can be conscious about the fact that that's what they're trying to do. If you realize and you understand that these people are telling you certain things, and you get to choose, oh, I'm going to take this, no, I'm not going to take this, that's a great way to view life. Because then you're not being programmed accidentally, it's now intentionally. Right? And the second one is just by controlling who you're around. Because if you control your environment and you're like, I'm not going to be around any losers, I'm not going to be around people who don't do anything with their life, well, now you're able to program yourself very intentionally by your surroundings. And so it's a very powerful thing.
Yeah, wow. There is a lot there. Um, yeah, that actually makes perfect sense. Like when you're not constantly building the skill of how to mask yourself in order to fit in because you're not there or there, then you have time to actually give into your natural drive, your competitiveness, and go all the way. And you don't really care. You don't really give a shit about what everyone else thinks.
Exactly.
Yeah. That that's yeah, fantastic answers. Now like you're known for I'm gonna go a bit more into like sales, which you're known for a little bit. You're known across social media for how you handle objections, right? But objection handling, as far as from my experience, isn't really about the objection itself. Usually, it's about the psychology behind what their fears and their beliefs,
Yeah,
maybe their trust between you two, and how they feel about themselves, how they identify, right?
absolutely.
What do most young salesmen misunderstand about like handling objections or just objections in general that you got right fast?
The biggest thing, and every phenomenal salesperson I know does this, and all the average ones or the ones that are just good don't do it. The biggest one is that bad salespeople or decent salespeople try to handle every objection that comes at them. Good salespeople and great salespeople convert the objections they're getting into the one they want to handle. For example, if somebody tells me, oh man, well, this is just very risky, I could try handling the fact that it's risky, or I could go, yeah, that makes sense, man, because like ultimately what you're seeking is like certainty, right? Like you want to get the result XYZ, and they're like, yes. So now what did I just change the objection to? A lack of certainty.
Yep.
He told me it's too risky, now it's a lack of certainty. And the key is, if I'm trying to chase him and handle his objections, I'm in his world because he knows what objection he's going to be next better than I know what objection he's going to be. I have no fucking clue. But if I convert it into the objection I want to handle, I have 1,000 lined up behind me. He has 0. So he's in my world now. I'm going to beat him every time.
I never thought about it like that. Yeah. Wow. Okay. Yeah. Like, some people like try to like force their way through every objection,
Exactly.
and yes, some sell through being empathetic and being a little softer, but like, well, what you just said is like insane to me because I never thought about it like that. The objections you're good at handling, and you just want to be able to find a way to convert what they're saying to one that you understand. So now
Always.
the ball's in your court, like you're in my house, bitch.
Always.
Now we talk about it, right?
Even an example,
Wow.
It's kind of like, okay, like let's pretend, I don't know, you give me a time objection on a sales
Right.
call.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay, give me a time objection. Give me a time objection.
It's not the right time. It's the holidays and stuff.
Not a problem, and I completely understand. Can I ask, like, money aside for a second, do you actually feel like it would even get you like to that 20 grand a month mark, kind of like in the first place?
Yeah, I think so.
And why? Like, just so I understand.
I mean, it's basically everything that I've been like trying to find is like the coaching, and then also just knowing that there's someone that's knows what they're talking about better than I do.
And you having the coaching, right? Because like obviously we're not that cool. Like, what do you feel like having the coaching, like that skill set, would actually do for you, like more personally though? So I understand.
Well, I have been very bad at keeping myself accountable, so it would just be very nice to have somebody there to be able to keep me accountable and point me in the right direction as
Yeah,
I
because
want.
that accountability, what do you feel like that would actually change, like in your life?
It would change everything. Most of the reasons why I'm not able to stay consistent with everything, and consistency means that I'm actually able to do
Right.
things in my life, is because of the lack of that.
Fair enough. So is it just that initial investment then, man, of like the $12,000? Like, if we could split it up into like more adjustable payments, would that make it a bit easier for you, like financially?
Yeah, I would.
Pause. What was the original objection you gave me?
Time's not the right time. Yeah,
Time.
time.
Now I just got you to say if you could break it up, the money, I would do it.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Like, I just converted it into whatever the fuck I want to handle.
Right. I couldn't exactly break it down into a sentence because I've watched your videos and I was like, there's a very key theme. It's like the same things that he keeps handling, but it's not the same thing it starts with, right? But you just pointed it out. It makes perfect sense, You come to my world, homie. You're on my call. Yeah,
Exactly.
perfect, man. What's yeah, wow. if you strip down your like entire sales process, like down to only like 3 questions that you're able to, I mean, that might be difficult, but 3 questions that you must answer every call or get the other person to answer on every call, what would those questions be?
What is there, so not questions, but kind of answers, I guess, that you're looking for, which I guess in a way is a question. What process are they using right now? What's going to happen if they keep having the same problems that they have with that process? So in other words, a consequence. And what will happen if they're able to get rid of that consequence and the problems? In other words, the future pace.
Got you. Yeah, that's awesome, man. Most of these guys that are on social media, like teaching sales, they teach scripts. Maybe just because the market doesn't know what they need, they know what they want, which is scripts, right?
Yeah.
So everyone and their moms that does scripts or that does sales, they give out scripts, right?
Yeah.
But like as far as I can tell, being able to control the environment and also like the tonality is like most of it, right? What's like that tonal mistake most people make? Because at this point you've taught a lot of salespeople and you've watched a lot of sales calls, I'm guessing, and you've been on thousands as well.
Yeah.
What's that like most common mistake that people make with the tone?
So great question. It's actually the fact that people don't understand how they have to use their body language to communicate a certain tone. So for example, whenever I'm coaching tonality, the number one thing I'll always do, for example, I'll give an example. Literally yesterday, I was coaching a guy on tone. His issue with his curious tone. And it's because he was trying to sound a little bit curious. Like he was like, oh, like what caused you to do it that way? Like a little bit curious. But the issue is, if you want to really communicate a tonality very clearly, you need to exaggerate it all the way. If you notice, even when I'm speaking with you, even on a podcast, all my gestures, all my facial expressions, they're all exaggerated. This is just my natural, right? Like I can't control it. But the issue most people have is they don't do nearly enough. So they can't actually control the curiosity that they're creating in a prospect's mind. So what I did with him, for example, is I was like, try and be as curious as you can possibly sound right now. As curious as you can possibly sound. The body language is tilt your head, squint your eyes, that's how you sound curious, and exaggerate it all the way. Like tilt your head until it's basically like fucking horizontal. And he was like, great. And when I tell people to do that, because they can't actually do that because it doesn't feel natural, they'll end up doing what they think is crazy, but in reality it ends up being what they're supposed to do. So I told him, like, exaggerate it all the way. And then he went, what caused you to do it that way? And I was like, that's exactly how it's supposed to sound.
Yeah. Got you.
Because they're exaggerated is actually the right way to do it. And so I think that's the biggest mistake people make with tone is they don't do it enough. They don't exaggerate enough. So I always make them go overboard, like way, way overboard. And then they pull it back a level if needed. But most of the time they don't even need it because it's already perfect.
It's already perfect. Wow. That's a very good like general rule of thumb. Like back in the day, me personally, I would do like sales calls basically, but like in person. So it's much more manageable in person, right? Because they can see how you sit, they can see how you are, they can see all that stuff. But on calls, you're absolutely right. I mean, you have to over-exaggerate, and then if it's genuinely too much, you can always overcorrect it, or not overcorrect, like correct it, like bring it back, dial it back.
The issue is if you don't go too far, then you're always trying to like inch up a little bit. Oh, inch a little closer, a little closer, and then you naturally end up falling back in your default position, which is not enough. So you inch forward, and then you're like, oh, but I need to change this one other thing. Oh shit, go back to baseline. But if you over exaggerate all the way, then you can just find a good middle ground in the middle, and that's where you keep it.
That's phenomenal advice, man. And but by the way, like, how did you pick up on these things? How did you learn these things at such a young age? Because like emotional control is one thing, but then being able to like customize that or like personalize that to like selling virtually, and then being able to bring it down to a framework that most of the sales guys you train can also understand it and be able to do it. Like, how were you able to learn that and package it so well?
Number one, I've paid for an unbelievable amount of mentorship. I've probably spent 250 grand or so on mentors, coaches. Like, for example, I do one-on-ones with Leonardo DiCaprio's acting coach.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So like just whatever I can, you know what I mean? And so I take little tidbits from each person. And then what I do is I have to use my own experience to be like, great, well, what is the best thing to do? So for example, that tonal exercise that I do, nobody ever taught me that. But I started figuring it out over time because I was like, well, when I'm getting coached, this is what worked for me. They told me to do this specific exercise. Maybe it wasn't the best exercise, but it gave me an idea to try this other thing. Then I tried that. Then it's like, oh shit, what I realized is I used to not do enough. And then I started trying to overcorrect and I did too much, and then I found a good middle ground. Well, what if I make other people just do that same thing? I make them overcorrect and then find a middle ground. And that's how I found the tone thing. So a lot of it's a mix of taking different information from other people and then just a relentless amount of experience in doing it over and over and over again until I find patterns of what works.
Wow. Yeah, that actually makes perfect sense, because now that I think about too, most of the things that I have kind of dialed in my life is the same thing. I either don't do enough, then I do too much, and then I'm like, wait, pause, man, come back.
Exactly.
And then I kind of find the exact same thing in the middle. Yeah, you're absolutely right about that.
It's not even just tone. It's like almost anything.
Pretty much everything. Yeah, 100%. Like I'll be in the kitchen trying to cook up chicken for the first time, and then I don't cook enough, and then the next time it's smoking in the house. I'm like, wait, okay, that was too much. This was too little, man. You come in the middle.
You come back a little bit. Now it's perfect. That's how you do anything. It's natural conditioning. It's classical conditioning.
Exactly, man. Super quick. I told one of my friends that loves your content that I was going to be on a podcast with you. He wanted me to ask you a very quick question, all right?
Yeah.
He's working in telecommunications, right? He works at, I think, Verizon or something like that. And he wants to transition into like high ticket sales, right? So his question was, how can I transition from a semi-skilled rep to a high ticket sales rep, or just get into high ticket? Because he's been doing that for years and he's just like, I can do better.
So I think number one, he has a massive advantage that he already understands social cues and stuff from people, which is his biggest advantage. The part that's lacking, one thing you said earlier that I slightly disagree with, is script is massively important.
Okay.
It's not everything. Script does not get you great. Script does get you good though. If you master a script, and a script isn't just, oh, this word and then this word and then this word. A script is like also the tone in it. Like if I'm asking a question on the script, for example, like, oh, how long have you been doing that for? I know I need to be curious on that part of the script, so that's part of the script. The tone becomes part of it. You know what I mean? So my biggest recommendation that I would give him is find a script that you associate with, that you relate to. It doesn't have to be, I'm not one of the egotistical coaches who's like, oh, you have to use mine. It's the best in the world. No, like you can use whatever you want. Is it the best in the world? Yes, absolutely. But if there's another one that you feel more comfortable with, use it. I don't give a fuck. It's like people will even come to me for coaching. They're already doing 50 grand a month in commission, for example. And they're like, oh, should I start using an impact? And I'm like, no, dude, like you're using your script. It's working. We'll implement certain parts that are needed, like as needed, right? But you don't change everything just for the sake of it. It's retarded. It's stupid. So the biggest advice I'd give him is find a process that you relate to, right? Obviously, I would recommend impact, but whichever one you relate to the most. Then that script, write that every single day, 3 to 5 times a day. The entire script, that'll probably take you an hour a day, right? And then do speed role plays. A speed role play is your entire goal is to get through the whole script with obviously a fake prospect with one of your buddies or whatever, as fast as you can. So for the impact closing script, it's like 7 to 10 minutes. For the setting script, it's 3 to 5 minutes.
Okay.
And you try and rush through it. You forget tonality, forget pacing, anything. Your only goal is to go through the questions as fast as possible. The reason why is because when you have to do that at that speed on a fake call, when you get onto a real call, it feels like it's in slow motion. So you never get confused about, oh, what question do I have to ask? What do I have to say? Because you're used to doing it way faster than that. So you don't even have to think anymore. It's just like an instant. So those are 2 the exercises I would do every single day. And then once you get that script down with that tone, not even very advanced tone, but just like the basic tones, curious, skeptical, right? Casual, like those are the main ones. Then from there, great. That's when you start looking for an offer, a high ticket offer, you get on an offer and you start fucking killing it. And you get your data, you come to me, I'll coach you again for free inside of Impact. We do all our coaching for free. We have the VIP is the highest, right? So that's it. That's all I'd recommend.
Awesome, man. So basically find a process that you like.
Yeah.
Get it pat down, find the offer, and then find someone to teach you and kind of guide you. And 100%, I know he'll be watching this, so definitely join Impact Team, man. These guys know what they're doing, and it's free, man. Come on. It's free. But I want to transition a bit into more like, because like you don't just do sales, man. You like run teams. You recruit people. Like you know what leadership is like at such a young age. Like being a killer closer is one thing. Leading people, especially people that are most likely older than you, right, is another identity shift entirely.
Yeah.
You know, when you stepped into that like bigger sales like environment, right, where there's multi-million dollar per month teams, what was that like hardest leadership lesson you had to learn quickly?
The hardest leadership lesson I had to learn, I would say it's understanding fundamentally what people want. Because if you know what somebody wants out of their life and everything you tell them to do is in alignment with what they want and what's beneficial for the company, there's no reason why you'd ever have any resistance. Zero. None.
Yeah.
Because everything benefits the company and it benefits them for their goals. So why would there be any resistance? Zero. And your ability to communicate to them how what you're telling them to do will ultimately get them to their goal, even if not directly. For example, if I tell a sales rep to do their admin, yeah, it doesn't directly get them there. But if I can communicate effectively that allows them to track their data, therefore know what they need to improve on, therefore make more commissions, therefore be more successful and hit their goals.
Gotcha.
Well, now they understand it. So it's really your ability to communicate in a way that shows them that what you're telling them to do will help them reach their goals and the company reach theirs at the same time.
Gotcha.
That's ultimately what leadership is. And the biggest mistake people make is you think you're owed something. People get entitled.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people in my position, and I even see it, they'd be like, oh, I'm 18, I make hundreds of thousands of dollars a month, I'm phenomenal, I do this, I do that, great. Like, do what the fuck I say, but it's not like that. Like, you're not that guy, pal, sorry. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, to some degree, it's like, who gives a fuck? At the end of the day, it's business.
Right.
You have roles, you have different shit to do, like, who gives a fuck? So, yeah, I think it's not being entitled enough to believe and think that way, and then being able to communicate effectively in terms of what somebody wants and what's in the company's benefit at the same time.
And just like
merge them together.
Merge them together and then be able to tie it back to the everyday tasks that they have to do.
Exactly.
Gotcha. Okay, yeah, that makes complete sense, man. And you're 100% right. That is, like, me personally, I kind of did the same thing, right? I started making decent money at a very young age, like 17, 18. But the person that you just described was me, 1000%, right? And guess what happened? I lost it all because that was me. I was dumb. I learned the hard way, right? But it impresses me that with your success for the last 2.5, 3 years perhaps, how have you been able to not go insane and be able to keep yourself composed and contain all this money you're getting? Because that's something else that people have a bit of like a fear around. Like, he got it quick, he'll lose it quick. But I've also seen people that keep it for life.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing for me that I had to understand is if you look at history, if you look at some of like the best generals, right? Like leaders of armies, Napoleon, like any of those people, they were never these overly arrogant people. They were people that their armies respected and loved them. Genuinely loved them.
Okay.
And you can't really be loved if you think you're quote unquote better than people.
I see what you're
And
saying.
I'm not talking about better than people in the sense of like been more successful or have more hierarchical value or more social value. I'm not talking about in that sense, because in that sense, that's reality. Like if you take me or you take a fucking kid in college right now in a math class, I am more valuable than you. Like I just am. Like, sorry. But from an ethical and moral standpoint, like having respect for somebody, that's very different. Because you have to understand, you never know what somebody's going through. You never know what they're going to achieve. You never know what's going to happen. So if you don't have respect for them, it's like, I heard Andrew Tate say this one time. This was a wake-up call for me. He was like, anytime I'm outside, I'm extremely respectful to everybody. Because you don't know when you're speaking to that one dude and you're making fun of him because he did some stupid shit and he's on his last fucking straw. And now he's about to go, you piss him off too much, he goes home and he shoots up a fucking school. Like you don't know when you're about to break that last straw. So you gotta really hold it. Man. And that level of respect should be for everybody. Obviously random people, but even more for your team and the people you work with, right? Because like, at the end of the day, that's what makes them respect you. And you also have to understand, people that support you, like you should, to a degree, love those people. It's like, I believe it was Napoleon, but I could be wrong, where his army, I forget if it was him, but it might have been somebody else. His army was about to quit. Yeah, I think you know what I'm talking about. His army was about to quit and they were about to like, go fuck off, whatever. And he stands up in front of all of them and he gives a speech, which is, they have it transcribed and there's videos on YouTube of it. You probably look it up. It was like the Battle of, I forget what it was called, like Battle of Last Hill or something like that. And he gives this speech about how he has given everything for his army, and he has loved them, and he has cared for them, and he has done everything he could, and he led by example. He never told them to do something that he wasn't willing to do. He always put himself last after them. Like, he gave that speech, and they all loved him after that, and he came back a hero.
Yeah.
I think that really stuck with me, because it was like, if you have that level of care for your troops, which your troops is really just the people who follow you, the people who support you, your team, then they will have that loyalty and respect for you as well.
Yeah, I mean, that's the insane thing, right? It should be common fucking sense that people that help you is the ones that you should support the most, but some people don't think like that. And
exactly,
the example that you gave, every time I'm driving down the highway with my father, and people are honking or whatever, he's like, bro, stop. You don't know if they have a gun or they're having a bad day.
Yeah.
Right? You're like, you don't know. Just calm down, man. Calm down. It's fine.
Yeah. Being strong and running fast is good until you have a 12-gauge shotgun in front of your forehead. And then
right in front of your face. What the hell are you going to do then? 1,000%, man. I agree with that. And then on the back of that story with Napoleon, a tactical thing he did there, I'm not sure if you know, but he gave everybody like proper like job titles, right? Like before everyone was just like troops. But then he gave even the smallest troops like very like fancy like like titles. So that's why there's like companies nowadays that even though they're just appointment setters, they call them CDRs and client development representatives.
Yeah.
Right. It's like a tactical thing from there that made them feel better.
Yeah. Also for clients as well. Russell Brunson kind of popularized this in which book was it? It was, I think it was Funnel Hacking Secrets.
Funnel Hacking Secrets. Okay.
I believe. But he talks about the concept of like how to quote unquote build a cult. People around you, and he always says like label them something. So for him, it's like he labels all the people who are there funnel hackers. They all have a funnel hacker T-shirt and everything else because now they feel like they're part of a movement, right? And I think that's very important, especially because if your goal is to genuinely create a movement, you kind of got to create the movement. Like you have to have names, you have to have engagement, you have to show people you're actually there for them, you support them. That's a big reason I think honestly nobody has really quote unquote taken over the sales coaching space. Even if you look at some of the big names. Which I won't say because I've gotten too many fucking cease and desist letters in these last 6 months. Okay. But even if you look at some of those big names, it's like, I know the back ends of all their companies. I know their P&Ls. I know their market share. I know all that shit. None of them are really that big. None of them really have a movement. They have groups with 150,000 members where 3 people make a post a day. It's not even a fucking community at that point. And that's why I think Impact Team took over so fast. Is because like we had a genuine fucking care. Like I just spent tens of thousands of dollars building a software that will be released to everybody in Impact Team for free. Tens of thousands. I get nothing out of it. Zero. For free. And so when you have a genuine care for people at that level, and one of the most common things, I'll go into the Discord and I'm speaking with people inside of Impact and I'll hop in VC when I have a couple of minutes or whatever, and they're like, Andres, don't you have better things to do with your time? And it's like, well, number one, don't fucking speak to me that way. But number two, it's like, because I care, I'm here to help. But any of the other people in this industry specifically, as sad as it is, none of them had really had any fucking care. Even if you think about it, how long have they all been using Kajabi and VT Lightspeed and the same platforms to host their videos? Even though they've made millions of dollars, they haven't made any change to how they actually educate their students. Why is that?
Fair point.
And people don't ask those questions. It's like, if you really, I care about the clients, I care. If you really cared, would you keep the exact same way of teaching them after making millions of dollars for 5 years, a decade? And then we come in and 6 months in, we build a software, spend tens of thousands of dollars to do it, that makes sure that people's education is actually as fast as possible, gamifies the whole process, everything else. So, I think there's a massive lack of care. And I think when you have that care, like the generals, like people in the military and the armies before, people recognize that. They see that off of you. They grow a lot faster.
Yeah, and that absolutely makes sense. And you're absolutely right, man. They use the same shit, the same process usually. And you're absolutely right about that, man. Because the first time that I ever saw you was when you were 17 on somebody else's post. I think you know who I'm talking about. I'm sure something happened there that caused you to kind of split off, but
I've been blocked by a lot of those people, so I don't actually know. I don't know what you're talking about. But
okay.
I think I
No,
can make
you were working as a sales rep for a company before you went off on your own,
yeah.
right? Him.
Yeah.
That's where I first saw it.
That's where I got a lot of cease and desist from. It's okay. I just ignore them.
Oh, okay.
I ignore them. I make videos about them. It's a good time.
Yeah?
Good time.
Yeah, sounds like a great time.
Like, the one thing I do love is that once you have money, things kind of get fair. It's like whoever's right is right.
Agreed.
You can take me to court, but if I'm right and I have all the proof to back it up, which I do, and can I say this? I'll put it this way. And you were not treated fairly in terms of how you were paid and other things. And then at the end of the day, they end up paying you because they get scared. Like, to some degree, you kind of do whatever the fuck you want, because if you're in the right and you have the proof to back it up, and they don't, you will win at the end of the day. And that's already what's happened. And then eventually, once you're doing the best, for example, we made our community and everything else, and that exact company you're talking about decided to make a copy and paste of our community 4 months later because they saw how good it was going. Like,
oh, word, okay.
Yeah, you can't make this shit up. It's like, yeah, I know, it's in all the descriptions and the bios and shit. But again, I don't really give a fuck, because it's like, they did that, they released it at the same time that we released the new software. Like, if you're always months and months and months ahead of people, and you're just better than them, and you don't know what the fuck they're talking about, and you have better operation systems, it's like, at the end of the day, you're gonna win. So who really gives a fuck?
If someone's copying you, first off, especially like someone like that, it's always a positive sign, man. It's always a good sign. And it's even good for yourself. Like, you can take it however you want, but you'll always be 1, 2, 3, or 4, maybe 10 steps ahead of them, because they copy what you do publicly, but they don't know what the hell's going on.
Exactly.
Right?
I find it funny. It's like amusing to me.
I get you, man. I get you, man. Yeah. Wow. Okay. Didn't know that much was going on behind the scenes, but I do know that there was a bit of a separation. However, we could put that shit to the side. Fuck that and fuck them, and God bless. Everything's going well. Real quick, since I do have you here on the call, I'll make it super quick, okay? If you were running my company for 90 days, okay, what would you fix structurally? Just to give you quick context, I started off first off, I got into software dropshipping, did good with that, found out how to run ads, then I started selling ads to people that are brands, and then eventually just progressed, and then TikTok ads came out, and then I started doing TikTok ads for these direct-to-consumer e-commerce brands. Now, with new AI and new softwares, I basically have to rebuild my company because of some personal things that happened for 2.5 years. I had to completely let go of everything. However, I'm building again. My problem, of course, at the beginning, with e-commerce being so hyper-competitive, with e-commerce brand owners not trusting anybody because all these people come in and they scam you. And personally, the guy that taught me before kind of taught me without putting the words to it that you should basically scam people, right? So what would you do to kickstart a company off quickly?
To kickstart a company off quickly, do you have connections in the industry?
1 or 2 people, maybe. Not that many. I was very bad at doing that.
Okay. And so what you're trying to sell essentially is AI marketing, right? And ads?
Yes. So the long-term goal is basically for me to build a complete marketing department for these brands to have and hold on to without having to pay these agencies $2,000, $5,000, $10,000 a month going forward, and they can just keep it together.
A fractional CMO, essentially.
Essentially, yeah. Okay.
Okay, cool. And do you have any clients now or no?
None at the moment, no.
Okay. Where are you based?
Sacramento, California.
Okay, sweet. What I would do, so my recommendation is I always do in person first. So what I would do is you could go to like a lot of do you want to work with local businesses or more like online creators and stuff?
We only like to work with people that sell online on Shopify. So
great. Okay. So my goal if I was you is how could I create fans nearby? So inevitably you're gonna have to figure out some way to do some kind of some outreach, right? My always preferred is cold calls. So I don't know if you're able to do cold calls in base of like, I don't know if those kind of companies
So,
have set up.
Quickly to give some more context, when I first launched this business, and it's actually started doing pretty well. What I had done was something kind of insane. I went online and I found commission-based DM setters. Okay, I found 55 of them. I bought 55 of them to send cold DMs on Facebook, and Instagram, and they just blasted away, and that worked. But it was difficult and it wasn't sustainable, right? But like I'm kind of doing something similar to that right now. I have 5 guys that are like going out and using tactics that I give them to find leads. We're starting to build a bit of a pipeline. However, of course, I want to speed things up as fast as I can.
So, okay, what I would do if I was you is I would do that same strategy because that worked last time. I would keep doing that. My goal would be to get a couple of clients and build a very tight relationship with them. The best way to scale is always product first. If your goal is to go, I don't know, 30, 40K a month, like great, the product doesn't fucking matter, right? Which is kind of shit, don't do that, right? So I would always go product first. I would try and build a really close relationship with your first couple of clients to where like you can speak with them like bros kind of, right? Like you can talk about personal shit, their family, friends, girlfriend, whatever, like very personal relationship. And then basis of that, use them as a test dummy, get results for them. Once you're able to start getting results for them, then you can ask them for referrals. They'll almost always give you referrals. So at the very beginning when we launched, like, I won't say who because that wouldn't be good. I won't say who, but we, like, I think 35% of sales came off referrals.
Wow.
Like that, to 40%.
Wow.
And that was on 700K a month contract.
Good Lord. Wow.
That's a lot of referrals, right?
Yeah.
It's because when you have those people that are very tight and like love you guys, right? Then you're able to get referrals very, very easily. So I would build these like group of fans internally. Then I would only expand with referrals. And if you're not able to expand with referrals, that means your client results aren't good enough yet.
Correct.
So that's how you know when your results are good enough to scale is when you're able to get the referrals. That's like your test, right? Once you get those referrals and you're able to get a couple of them, I would say a good metric would be like you're able to double your clients with referrals per se. So like each client gives you 1 referral, for example.
Yeah, that would be phenomenal. Yeah.
That's a good metric. Then in basis of that, that's when you take the money coming from that, and that's when you start running ads.
Got you. Okay.
And then you don't scale up the ads super fast. You scale up ads, you get a couple more clients, do the same thing with them, great results, close relationship, referrals, and then you scale again, and you do that again to get like a good foundation of like level 1, tier 1 clients that you're on great basis with, they love you, etc. And then that's when I would start doing organic content heavily. I'm a big proponent of organic content because I can speak well, obviously, and communicate. So I'd start doing organic content from there, right? And then that'll be like a very natural kind of ascension mechanism. From there, you'll probably be at 30 to 40K a month for 8 to 10 months, right? If you were a lot more experienced already, like obviously we scaled a lot faster than that, but that's because me and Yash were running a company doing $4 million a month, cash collected, 4.2.
Right.
So like we had a solid little experience where we could scale a lot faster and have it quickly and all that. I'd be at around 30 to 40K a month for like 6 to 8 months if I was you. And then from there, you'll have that foundation, you'll have started making organic content, and then you can just run it up through ads. That's all I would do.
Okay. Interesting play, man. Yeah. Appreciate that. Thank you very much.
That's like building, that's not like high ticket building a business, that's like building a real business.
Right, correct.
Value, where you have customers that love you, like that's the kind of business you want to run.
That makes sense, man. That completely makes sense. Like the goal for like the next 7-15 years for me is to basically have like 10 to 25% like shares in these companies that we've helped grow, and then turn this company into like
perfect,
like a proper holding company.
Perfect.
And
so this is perfect alignment with that. Exactly.
Right. Yeah. Because then you actually build good bonds and relationships. Yeah.
And the other thing is that the reason a lot of high ticket people and their companies fail is because if they go down, they go down. But the thing is, once you have this like base level of clients who love you, they're the ones who will fight for you and stop you from going down because they care. Like if you're losing clients or your ROI isn't as high or whatever, they'll actively go out there searching for more referrals for you. And incentivize them very well. Pay them 20% of every referral recurring. That's an example. Right? So that's how I build it.
That makes perfect sense, man. That actually makes a lot of sense. Phenomenal, man. Thank you very much again for helping me out there. I want to jump a bit more into like life philosophy type of stuff.
Yeah.
If you're cool with that.
This will
Now,
be interesting.
yeah, let's do it. I do have everything written down here, so like I'm a guy that easily gets into extremely deep conversations, right? So I'm just say like you're someone that has built the skills extremely quickly. You built cash quickly, right? But like emotional development, that part of it, like it doesn't always move at the same pace of that, right?
Yeah.
I'm very curious as to like what this has meant for you, like mentally, right? Like what is something what's something you're healing from even now that you're like publicly this guy that's doing very well?
Something I'm healing from. It's an interesting question because I think my kind of mental model or my mental frame of the world is that my goal isn't to be some complete, wholesome, white knight kind of guy. Like, if I have pains or things that have happened to me, great example, if you watch Michael Jordan's inductment into the Hall of Fame, his speech, it sounds like a toddler, like a 5-year-old whining. He's like, oh, this one guy told me this 20 years ago. And this guy told me this 10 years ago. And he said, you're not good enough. And he said, you're going to lose. It's from 20 years ago. He sounds like a toddler. But when I thought about it, it was like your ability to turn these pains not into something that heals you, but into a certain drive or give it a purpose, I think is a lot more empowering. I think if you heal it, it's kind of like if you have a scale, like a balance, and both sides have 0. What does the scale read? It's 0, it's even. The sum of it is 0. But if you're able to create an imbalance intentionally in the direction that you want, that's when you can become a lot more successful. So for me, like, yeah, I might have these pains or these wounds, and I actively choose to not heal them. Because if they were fully healed, would I be capable of the things I think I can achieve? I don't know.
You don't
I don't
know,
think
is
so.
it? Oh, yeah.
I don't think so. So I think turning those little things that happen, just like Michael Jordan, turning these little things that happen to you and almost expanding them into your head to create rage or to create anger or to create motivation and drive, that's a lot more empowering than trying to heal them.
Very interesting perspective. Okay. Interesting. I would say that energy can fuel you for a while until you eventually you just can't do it. I mean, Michael Jordan's an extreme example. This guy remembers shit from, since he was 2 years old, and he's like, I'm gonna prove that kid wrong who took my lollipop, right? But like, people that eventually heal out of it, from my experience and the things that I've seen, they go on to do much better because they're operating from a much more like cleaner energy. I know it sounds a little bit more like hippy.
However, I think the issue with that fundamentally is that if you look at any of the greats, if you look at Elon Musk, if you look at Napoleon, like Alexander the Great, any of these people, they're all openly talk about having that dark side of them and that wound that never heals. Because I think as soon as it heals, your motivation heals with it.
I see what you're saying.
So I do think it is a sacrifice you make, and it is an active sacrifice. And people will say they don't want to take that. I don't blame them for that by any means. I think it's a cost of greatness. I think you have to be like, I'm going to choose to not heal and be in pain because I feel like my duty as a Contreras, as a man, as what I want to be for the world and my family and what I want to achieve, requires me to have the pain. And I think that's the burden that any ultra successful person carries. Because as a man, if it's not our job to sacrifice ourselves, whether it's our health, our happiness, etc., for other people to make the world a better place, our family to provide, that's what being a provider means at the end of the day. So if that's not our goal, then what is our goal? And so I'm okay with bearing that pain. I'm okay with bearing that responsibility. If it means the world being a better place, if it means my family in the future being provided for and my sons knowing how to act and how to be and how to provide for their future wives and their future daughters. So I'm okay with bearing that in that regard if it leads to a certain outcome. I don't see anything wrong with pain.
Yeah, well, we in life will inevitably, at whatever stage, will always encounter a new set of pain, a new set of trauma, a new set of bullshit. And yeah, I do agree with you to that extent that if you're just completely busy, always trying to heal the new pains that come up all the time, or if your motivation, your fire was tied to that, you're basically done for, right? And you're right, because like me, I played basketball my whole life. Kobe Bryant was that guy. He always had that dark energy to him, you know. He always
Absolutely.
he
The mama.
actively found something inside that game to be
And
pissed
he
off
fed
about.
off of it. He
Yep,
fed
and he
off.
fed off the whole game.
Because
Yeah,
even if I ask you, like, so when you were 18, right, you said you made a bunch of money and then you lost it because you didn't have the right frame of mind. Where did your motivation come from back then?
exactly that, please.
So
Exactly that.
what I'm proposing is that if you had used that same drive, that same motivation you had, but rather than just like I was talking about earlier, where you have the shadow and then there's three outcomes that can happen for it, where it overtakes you, or you push it down completely, or you integrate with it. I think the third one, the integration, is the powerful one. So I think what happened to you is you let it overcome you to where it turned you into a kind of person that you're not proud of now, right? But then to a certain degree, if you had been able to use that dark energy and then integrate it where you still have that darkness, but you use it for good,
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
that's gonna be the most powerful ever.
That's what you're saying. Yeah, yeah. 1,000%, man. 1,000%.
Because, and I'll
Um,
tell you this as an example.
yeah.
If you think about the people, Navy SEAL, when they're going through Hell Week,
Oh God.
in
Yeah.
those hardest moments, in the hardest moments, are they thinking when all their bones are broken, everything's shit? Are they thinking about like, oh, I can't wait till I'm done with this. This is gonna be amazing. I can't wait to be a Navy SEAL. Or do they have all this pain
That they're just actually
and
trying
they
to deal with.
feed
Yeah.
off of it?
Yeah.
And they're like, this pain fucking drives me. David
Yeah.
Goggins, he talks about it in his book.
Yeah.
When
Yeah.
did he
Yeah.
get first motivation? When they started chanting a song, when they're all holding the boat together, putting it up and down, they start chanting the song together. He said he got the motivation off of seeing his instructors and being like, I went harder than you.
Yeah.
You're the bitch, not me.
Yeah.
So we know fundamentally at a very, very deep level, pain drives us more than anything.
Yeah.
Even in psychology, it's a well-known fact. Pain drives more than pleasure.
Yeah.
What drives
Yeah.
you harder? Does it drive you harder when you have this insane goal of, I want to be amazing and do all these things? Or if you put your hand on a fucking fire and you're like, holy shit, I don't like that.
I need to fix this. Yeah.
Exactly, it's the pain.
It's the
So I
pain.
think
Yeah.
trying to get rid of the pain is a flaw. I think using the pain for good ultimately would allow you to progress the most. And I think as a man, honestly, when you're able to use that pain to progress and to achieve what you want, that will give you the most happiness that you've ever had anyways.
That's a fair point. Yeah. That actually makes perfect sense. And I guess it's that part, right? Most people don't have the ability, the know-how, or just in general, that they don't know how to control it. They don't know how to manage it. They don't know how to integrate it, right? Because Kobe had a family. Kobe had a wife. Kobe had daughters. Like, he was a good family man, right?
Yeah.
When he was there, he was fully present. He was with them, as far as I've heard, you know. But while he was on the court, while he was the man on the mission, everything's tuned out. He's in the dark energy. He found something, and he's going off of it, right?
Yeah.
So it's that we do hold both of those aspects inside of us. It's just about managing it. Right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, you're absolutely right about that, man. Just real quick, we are about to finish, but if you have an extra 15 minutes or so, that would be amazing.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah, phenomenal, brother. Because I do have a bunch more questions because I do like the fact that I'm getting to know you a little bit better and the like philosophy side is coming out.
Yeah.
Because everyone knows you online for sales, not what you actually think about life.
And this is more interesting. Yeah, I like this.
Yeah, exactly. Now, when you're not when you're not the sales guy, when you're not Andres, the top G, okay, the closer, okay, who are you? Like, what part of yourself do most people not see?
It's a good question. I think the biggest side, I guess, to me, which will be shown a lot more because I want, when I speak in my content, to be as much of a representation of me and all my beliefs as possible. I think the only other side is the more, I guess, playful side, if you will. Like, there's a certain softer, more playful side, etc. It's kind of like the child in me, I guess, if you will. And to many degrees, the strength or the pushing forward or the relentlessness, a lot of that comes from that softer side. It comes from that child that is like, this is what I want to do. I want this in my life. And then there's the more mature version of me, the hardened version of me that has to figure out how to get it. Which is kind of the two sides. And I think, like, as an example, I'm very Christian. Right? Like, I'm waiting till marriage. I want to get married before I'm 21. I want to have a lot of children. I want to build a big, beautiful family. Like, that's what I want. So I don't think I would have the certain level of ambition or hunger if I didn't have these goals on this other part of me. Because I'll tell you a story. There was a time when, in that previous company that we were talking about, there was a time when finances in that company were horrible, terrible, worst I've ever fucking seen. And Josh comes to my room because at that point, I was a sales rep. I was the top sales rep, out collecting the rest of the team, 8 versus 1. And he was a manager. He was a VP of revenue. And he walks over to my office. And it's like 11 p.m., 12 midnight, something around there. And obviously, that's like right before I go to bed because I slept like 5 hours, wake up, do it all over again, 18 calls. Right? In a row. And he's like, dude, finance is not good. Like, we gotta, I know you're at your, I know you're basically capped, like you're doing as much as you can. We gotta go a step further. We gotta really, like, we gotta figure out a way. I don't know how, but we gotta figure out a way. And that's when I started like double booking my slots and stuff. So somebody no-showed, I would make sure I was actually on 18 calls every day, spending that extra hour training reps in the office, doing all kinds of shit. And then eventually that led to running the company. Wow. But that night, when he said that to me, I saw a video, and it was like anytime when you're going through hardship, you have to think about, if my son was in this position right now, what advice would you give him? What would you tell him? Because if you already know you are going to be the representation for your kids of who they need to become, then you better be that fucking man yourself. Yeah. You better be. And so a lot of that hardness or that drive or that relentlessness when shit's hard, a lot of that comes from me being like, I need to be the kind of person who can father my kids in a way that I want them to be. And even if you think about, like, for example, me running Impact, right? You see all the money, you see all the helping, you see all the people in the community and all this and this and that. Yeah, on the front side, that might look very hard. That might look very like, oh shit, he's fucking going at it. He's growing. But on the back end, if I didn't care for those people, if I didn't love those people, if I didn't relate to them on some degree, would I even have the drive or the hardness or the relentlessness to push forward and do that for them? No, yeah, never. So I think there's kind of a duality to it. It's a yin and a yang. It's a sun and a moon, a left and a right. Like there's a duality to it, where that harder version of me comes from that softer, more childlike kid side of me.
Yeah. I guess it's very interesting that you put it that way. I've never thought about it in that way, whereas most of these worldly achievements that we're not forced to get, the ones that we actually want, they're usually the demands of the younger version of you, your inner child. But the man you're becoming now and the man you're becoming today is to find a way to achieve those things for your inner child first, and then eventually transition into being able to do that for your own children.
And this is a great point. This is a phenomenal point, because the state of play is what creates success. If you look at a Beethoven, you look at a Jordan, you look at a Kobe, like you were saying earlier, any of those, when they become ultra successful, it's because they're in a state of play. They're not thinking logically in numbers and this. They go with flow. They have so much information in their brain, it's instinct for them. They move with the flow. They're in their zone. That's what creates that level of success. And so play fundamentally comes from the child you in psychology. That is the child inside of you. And a lot of people, when they cross a certain age, they try and lose that child. Because I don't think you could physically be inside of an office, working a 9-to-5 job, going every day, being told what to do, hating your fucking work but having to do it anyways, and be in a state of play at the same time. I don't think that's possible. So you have to push it down. That play, you have to push it down, you have to force it down, you have to keep it down.
And that's what day-to-day looks like for most people.
Exactly. And so then that inner child isn't inside of them anymore. And that's what makes you good, whether it's in relationships, whether it's business, whether it's sports, anything. That's what makes you the best. It's play.
Yeah. It's a great point you make, man. I definitely see like those like playful sides of you sometimes, inside your content where you're just like joking or you're making fun. And I saw that video with Yash. You're like, Mom, I made all this money. That was like,
she wasn't even Yash. That was Austin. That was
Austin.
That was funny.
Yeah. But you're 100% right, man. Well, everyone that has done good in something, they find enjoyment in it. Whether it came from a young age or they finally were able to have some time to be present enough in their own minds, in their own bodies to be able to understand, like, this is what my child wanted, this is what I want, like sometimes you'll like want that thing or you want to do this thing, and like Kobe loved the game, MJ loved the game.
Yeah.
Hormozy, he's been growing so fast. All he does is do business all day.
Yeah.
And he says,
I think this is massively important, is that when you say they all have love for it, a lot of people, they hear that and that demotivates them because they're like, oh, but I don't really love this. Like, I just want to make money. Like, I don't really love it. You can create love in things because you can get them from different sources. As an example, there was a period of time when I was playing soccer, and you get to a certain point where after you're playing it 5 hours a day, that long, every day, you get injured. There's going to be a day when you get to the pitch and you're like, I don't want to fucking be here.
Yeah.
It happens. And you have to find the love from other things. And I think what you find the love from is the world. It's an appreciation for the fact that you can move, the fact that you're alive, the fact that you're even on this planet. Like, I think that's where you start to get the appreciation from.
Yeah.
And because if you can have that, if you can just have appreciation for everything, that means you'll love anything. So you're willing to do whatever it takes to achieve what you want to achieve. Anything.
Yeah.
And that, I think, is the importance in appreciating the little things. And for me, even, that's where I find God.
Agreed. And you can only get that if you're not completely trying to push out your inner child, because the kid was fascinated by everything.
Exactly.
And I'm very happy to hear about your, your bond with God. That's something that I haven't heard on your content yet. I mean, some people, it turns them off, but the right people, it'll just bring them closer to you. But yeah, man, you're absolutely right. There's too many things in life that have happened for me to not, think of God every day, talk about God every day, and very happy to hear that you want to become a family man, and I may God continue to bless you in your ventures and help you grow a beautiful family, man. You're doing very well.
Appreciate that.
And that's something that I would say talk about that a little bit more, because that is beautiful.
That's already in the plan.
Yeah, beautiful, perfect. Now, I want to jump into what peace means for you, right? We talk about hustle. Obviously, we talked about it now a bit. And we don't talk about peace as much, especially in industries like sales. We talk about hustle, dial, right? How do you personally define peace? And like, what in life takes that away from you? Or maybe there's nothing in the world that seems to bother the peace that you have.
I find peace in chaos.
Okay.
when things are moving and stuff is happening, there's a lot going on, I find peace in that. And I think a lot of my peace comes from the fact that it's kind of over time where you build a certain confidence in yourself where it's like, I know I have the peace because I know I will figure it out anyways. So what's the point in being worried or stressed out or any of these other things if I already know I'm going to figure it out? It's like, who cares? And even to a degree deeper than that, like, I find a lot of peace in the fact that I have trust in the future me. Like, if this version of me could get to 18 with the marketing and the sales and everything else and figuring everything out, if this version of me could do this in 2 years, wait till the version of me in another 2 years. It's like, I have complete fucking trust in that guy. Motherfucker, when he's 30, he could become president. Like, I don't give a fuck. So
let's do it, man.
I find a lot of peace in the trust that I have for the future me.
Yeah. That is a phenomenal answer, and I kind of agree with you there. When I have too much comfort, or maybe peace, I don't know what you want to call it. I'd say comfort. I find myself not really wanting a life, man. I'm just like, I don't. But when something's going, like when now I am in the middle of rebuilding the business, it's very chaotic. It's very stressful sometimes. But like, it's where I find peace. But I also catch myself like getting stressed about tiny things, and I remember like, God is here. Yeah. God is with me. As long as I'm doing it for, a positive impact, a positive thing. Not trying to scam people, not trying to put people down, genuinely trying to find win-win-wins in everything that I do. And I genuinely do my best. Not my best. Do what is actually required, not my best. God is always there watching. God is always there to push forward. And sometimes there's things you have to learn. And God is just giving you the extra challenges. That way, when He gives you what you actually are working for, you'll be content, you'll be happy. Well, not content, you'll be happy. And you'll want to serve others.
Yeah,
right.
I'm a big believer in like nothing bad can hit a moving target.
Nothing bad can hit a moving target.
Yeah, and so then my goal is, I'm gonna fucking move. Like, I'm gonna push forward. Like I could, like today. You could hear by now. I've lost my voice completely. I'm cooked. I'm a sore throat. I've lost my voice completely. I've been coughing the whole day. I've been sick for like 3 or 4 days. I'm in Puerto Rico in a different time zone. And this is the second podcast. I still have 16. But right now, I'm more in my flow than if I was completely healthy, sitting on a computer, doing nothing.
Not doing anything.
I'm more in my flow now because I'm moving.
I agree.
As soon as I get off this podcast, I'm going to feel like shit. As soon as I get off, I'm going to feel like shit. My throat's going to hurt. Oh my God, everything sucks. But right now, I'm moving. I don't feel it. I don't give a fuck. So I've always been a big believer in that. And like, yeah, it can't hit a moving target, so fucking move as fast as you can.
I like that saying, man. I'm gonna put that in my head. I like that. Now, everything you've already talked about, the things you've gone through in business and maybe even personal life and running away and dropping out, like there's a lot of demands that growth has on you, right? And definitely shedding older versions of yourself. And at the pace you're moving, I'm sure it happens quickly. It happens fast, right? What belief about yourself took you the longest to accept?
I don't think there's anything that really come to mind because I've always been good at, I guess you could say, self-identifying, where I can sit down and just be like, what benefits me, what doesn't, and in basis of that, the ones that benefit me, I keep them, and the ones I don't, they're gone, and I'm able to do that pretty quickly. So like me identifying or holding on to beliefs or keeping them or getting new ones, that's never really been a great challenge for me, I guess you could say. Whatsoever.
Do you think that you were naturally born with that, or like where did that come from? Because a lot of like children, especially, they fall victim to drugs and gang violence sometimes just because they don't know how to self-analyze what is them and what is not, and what to say no to and what to say yes to, right? And so like, did that come from family, from parents, people that you had around you, your friends, or is that something that you just like naturally had?
I think a decent amount of it came from so my brother, he was a drug addict, right? And so my parents spent a lot of time with him, rehab, all that stuff. So I grew up very independent. And when you grow up independent, you kind of have to, you learn to self-analyze to a certain degree, right? And you learn the importance of, I'd say, pondering. Because if you're in complete control of your own life and your own self, usually when you have parents and they tell you, don't do this, don't do that, don't do that, you push back against it.
Yeah.
It's like, you're pushing, you push. And so you never really have time to consider this side because you're always pushing.
Yeah.
But when you don't have that other push, you're just kind of there. And so you're the push both ways. And so it makes you ponder things a lot more. And so, yeah, I would say that's kind of what did that for me, where I was able to be very neutral about things, very stoic about things to a certain degree, where I could feel emotion, stuff could happen to me, but I could also take a step back and be like, well, objectively, this is true, this is not true. This is right, this is wrong.
Wow, so because of your life circumstances, you were forced to be a little bit more independent than normal, like, children would be at your age, and that forced you to learn skills and micro skills that have gotten you to a place where you're able to self-analyze quickly. And
Exactly.
I'm sure it helps you in like managing teams as well, where you're able to quickly pick out who is who and what's what, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's about being very objective. And when you're very objective and you can just look at the situation and circumstance and judge on the basis of that, I think it makes you a lot stronger as a person. Now that goes both ways in terms of if you don't agree with something, or you see the other side of something, or also being able to like have a hard line at it. But being able to analyze it for long enough to know if you agree or not. That's the key. So if I don't agree with something or I don't have a belief, I will die there. And I'm very principled in that way, where I defend my principles and what I believe. And I'm not afraid of getting judgment for it or whatever. Like I don't give a fuck. Right? So I'm very principled in that way. But you also need to be neutral enough to understand which of those beliefs you actually have and which you don't. Rather than just being contrarian, just going against what people say, which doesn't work either.
Yeah, that was a skill that I picked up on. I'm not saying I'm perfect at it, but I've gotten better at figuring out what is my belief or sort of like what I don't agree with at all. And that did happen when I was kind of forced myself, kind of like what you did, right? By the way, my family, they made money, they were fine, they weren't the best, they weren't the worst, they were right in the middle. And I knew that I would always have my family there, supporting me financially and everything. And so I always kind of felt deep in my gut that I was always meant for bigger things. I'm going to do better. I'm going to help more people. And so kind of like what you did, I kind of forced that hardship onto myself, right? Yeah. I basically packed my car from here in California and I moved to Texas. Didn't know anybody there. Okay, figured it out. And that's when I learned things, and that's when I actually made the money that I made.
Absolutely.
And so I completely understand exactly what you're trying to say.
Yeah.
How would you want to do this in the future with your family? If you had a son, when you have a son, I should say, how would you want to maybe perhaps parent the child to where they grow up more independent rather than like codependent on you? However, you are the father, it's always going to be the case that they're always a bit dependent on you, but push them to be more independent. How would you want to do that?
It's a great question. I'll end with this because I have like 1 minute. But I think there's a certain growing up that you do in the absence of your father. So I don't think a father being there all the time, doing I don't think that benefits the kid, really.
Yeah.
Because to some degree, if the kid understands that the love they get from their father is in relation to them doing good, they're going to do more good. So a lot of people say, unconditional love. I think to some degree that's kind of bullshit. Like there's unconditional love to some degree, but also to some degree, if you're doing really, really bad things, do you really deserve that time? I don't know.
Fair point. Yeah.
Like for example, if my kid, if he asked me to sit down and play video games with him. Maybe I will for a little bit, every once in a while. Am I going to do that every day for an hour? No. If you ask me to go play soccer with him or chess with him for an hour, will I do that? Hell yeah, of course. To some degree, like, they have to deserve that time that they get for their own good.
Gotcha.
And that's where I think, even because obviously my mom handled a lot of the addiction stuff and all that with my brother. My dad traveled a lot for work, a lot. He was always traveling. And so I didn't get to spend a lot of time with him. And even we went to a retreat my sophomore year, I think, in high school. And he told me that. He was like, I feel really bad because I almost got to spend like no time with you. Right? And so like I always felt like I didn't enough. And I told him, I was like, no, but that was a good thing. Because like in your absence, you learned a certain thing. Me as a kid seeing my dad going to work, sacrificing the time he had with his family, even though I know he loved us very much, to create a certain change in the world and provide a better life for us, that taught me that that's the role of what a man should do. And so you learn a lot in his absence as well.
100%.
Is it important to spend time with them? Absolutely. But in the absence, you learn it just as much.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate your time, man. I know you gotta go. Give me 2 minutes and we'll close this out. The first point you said about your father not being there and a lot of growth happening, there's a book that I have in my hand right here. It's called The Way of the Superior Man. I'm not sure if you read it.
I've seen it.
Right. The third chapter says, live as if your father were dead. That's the whole chapter, is live as if your father were dead. Because you don't expect him to come and save you, be your guide, be all this. You also have to build that dependency within yourself. But yeah, anyways, brother, Andres, thank you very much for being here, man. This was very fun. This was incredible. Thank you for doing it with a sore throat.
Of course.
Giving me some extra time. You didn't just talk about sales today. You talked about the depth. You talked about transparency behind your life, things that have happened, things that I've never heard from you before. And I definitely think that people will feel and get to know you a bit better after they watch clips from this and watch this video.
Absolutely.
I really appreciate you being open, transparent, man. Giving me your time, and if at all possible, it would be amazing for us to stay in contact and maybe 100%. Do part 2 or something like that at some point down the future.
Of course.
Keep supporting each other. Everything you're doing, man, phenomenal. It's impactful. You get it? It's impactful. It's changing the standard for everyone out there, man. To everyone listening, follow Andreas. If you can tell them where to follow you, man.
Just look up my name, Andres Contreras, Instagram, YouTube, whatever. I don't think I have a TikTok or a Facebook or anything. Instagram, YouTube, just look up my name, and then Impact Team is in my bio as well.
Amazing. So, by the way, Impact Team, if you guys want to go into sales, you're in sales or whatever, and you want to learn from the best of the best, it is a phenomenal group. I actually joined it to take a peek at it. It's nice. It's nice. What you're doing is good, and it's just the beginning of something huge. So anyways, man, thank you very much for coming on to the podcast, man. Hopefully see you in the next one, and it would be...
Absolutely, man.
Appreciate your honesty and the way you opened up.
100%. Cool. You can wrap it up.